All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the April meeting of Community Board 11's Environment, Open Space and Parks Committee meeting. My name is Jessica Elliott and I'm the chair of this committee. This meeting is called to order at 6:40 p.m. Sorry for the delay. Tonight we are joined by Khalid Nixon, the staff liaison to our committee. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. CB11 members, if you have a question or about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Members should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. Please keep your questions and comments brief and on topic to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question or comment about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. We will now take attendance by roll call. Committee members, please answer present when your name is called.
Okay, committee members, we have 10 total members and 6 are needed for quorum. Rosa Diaz,
Present.
Jessica Elliott,
Present.
David Giordano, Jewel Jones,
Present.
Connie Lee,
Present.
Malik McCullough,
On his way.
Debbie Quinones, Asher Rodriguez,
Present.
Russell Schuler,
Present.
Michelle Wilshire Clement.
Present.
You have 7 present. Quorum.
Great, thank you, everyone. The agenda of tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted online. If there is no objection, we'll adopt the agenda as stated. Committee members, if you object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand. I know, just close the door, it's fine. Literally so annoying. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. Yeah. The minutes from our last meeting were distributed ahead of time to committee members by the board office. If there's no objection, we'll adopt the minutes from that meeting. Committee members, if you object to adopting the minutes, you may raise your hand. Seeing no objections, the minutes from the last meeting are adopted. We'll move on to announcements. We have 2 quick announcements, maybe, unless there's another page. The first announcement is the annual Jackie Robinson Day Festival, which will be on the 14th on the Sunday from 12 to 4 p.m. at Jackie Robinson Park. We will also have the grand unveiling of the restored Icon Plaza and relocated discus thrower statue on Tuesday, April 16th at 5:30 p.m. I think the community board is still working to confirm who will be attending that unveiling. I think between Xavier and I, hopefully one of us can come, but if anyone would like to go, please let me know if you can be there on the 16th.
Oh. It's a Tuesday.
Yeah, so we'll figure it out, but we'll have someone there for sure. Any other announcements? All right. Moving on. Oh, yes. Oh, well, what? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So smart. Thank you, Michelle. One final announcement, as you all should know, is that our 3rd annual East Harlem Earth Day Conference is happening on April 19th, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. At the Museum of the City of New York from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. And we're still working on finalizing the agenda, but I appreciate everyone who has confirmed that they will be there. The last things we'll need to know from you is if you want a booth to talk to the community about the great work that you're doing, and if you want to participate in our program, which is just interactive programming for the youth of D4 and D5 schools. So obviously we're asking people to keep their presentations brief, ideally without the need for a screen, and as interactive as possible for the kids. And we will be in touch, but looking to confirm that in the next week or so. So thank you to the team. There's been a lot of work from this committee on this project. So thank you to everyone in this room. Russell. Okay, great. All right. We'll move along.
Jessica, I can speak more on the Jackie Robinson Day Festival.
Perfect. Please go ahead, Tapashi.
So we are signing up for volunteers. We're taking volunteers right now until April 8th. And volunteers will help with park cleanup on 145th Street and the Edgecombe Mall from 10 to 12. That's a little bit before the event. But the main event starts from 12 to 4, and those volunteers will help with wayfinding. There are activities throughout the park. So as I mentioned, the 10 to 12 cleanup, but then from 12 to 4, there'll be there'll be performances, speeches, some few speeches, and performances from Harlem Swing and other Harlem-based organizations, as well as tabling related to all of other organizations throughout Harlem. And lastly, in the North Lawn, there'll be pet services. There'll be 3 human food trucks, as we call it, and then Wolf Cup will be a food truck for pets on the North Lawn as well. And let's see. It's a lot of fun activities, so please invite your family and friends. And if you'd like to volunteer and sign up, please do so. Can I also give other historic Harlem parks update, or should I wait?
That is actually the next item on our agenda, so you can roll right into it. Thank you so much.
However, may I ask you a question?
Oh, yes, we have one question about the Jackie Robinson Day. Go ahead, Michelle.
Has CB11 been given a slot for a table for this event?
For Jackie Robinson Day?
Like you mentioned that they were tabling
Yeah.
that were available.
I don't believe so. Tapashi, is there any desire or space for CB11 to host a table?
Yeah, if CB11 would like to host a table, we have CB10 is having a table.
Okay.
All right, we'll have to talk about that.
Okay, so I think it would be nice to have a table for CB11 as well.
Are you volunteering to run that table?
I have nothing to do.
If I mention it, I have to volunteer for the table because I volunteer for this.
Okay, we have 3 volunteers for a table. Okay, so Tapashi, I'll be in
Okay.
touch.
Okay, so let me know how many people we have. Typically, we're giving 1 table and 2 chairs per group that wants to table.
I'll
Yeah,
stand with.
either stand or we'll do it in sessions.
I will share.
Okay, all right, let's keep it together. So we have Michelle, Rosa, and Asher. Okay, thank you all. And please feel free, Tapashi, to continue.
So Marcus Garvey is having a Firewatch Tower Tour. That's on May 5th from 1 to 3 p.m. I can drop the link in the chat for signing up for that. Do that now. There you go. And this weekend, Harlem Little League is kicking off their season, starting with a march from Eagle Academy at 9 a.m. to Jackie Robinson Band Shell. Following their march, there will be a Horse of Course program at Jackie Robinson from 9:30 to 10:30. The Horse of Course program is our mounted unit, our mounted park enforcement officers and the urban park rangers. So they'll give a history of horses in law enforcement, a history of horses in law enforcement. And then similarly, well, yeah, that's fine. And then let's see. Lastly, I just want to mention that Parks has released a request for proposals for mobile units. So this is if you know any food trucks or specialty items from mobile units that you like in your community, please see if they're interested in having a request for proposal from Parks to be a vendor in our parks. The deadline for this is on Tuesday, April 16th at 3 p.m. I can drop the link in the chat for anyone who knows anyone and wants to share.
Great.
Well, I have. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for the Department of Parks round 1? Okay, great.
I have a quick question.
Okay.
I was just curious about availability of horses actually at the law enforcement talk about horses or the just talking.
Will there be horses?
The questions correctly.
Will there be horses at the horse day event?
Yes.
Great. Awesome.
Cool.
All right. Is there anyone else from Parks and Recreation who would like to give an informational update today?
Hi, this is Dave Williams here. Hello, good evening.
Hey, David. How you doing?
Yeah, real brief. So the heavy bad weather over the last couple of days really crippled our operation. We got trees down in Martha's Garvey, actually Jackie Robinson there as well in those different district, but White Playground, we had a bunch of tree branches, so that kind of occupied a lot of our time just getting the parks back up to speed. We still got a lot of branches down, so let's be patient with the cleanup. We got in touch with forestry to help out, but they're busy handling trees that are down on the streets. So once they get the trees removed from the streets, then they can help us out with some of the parks and playgrounds. So my staff, we've been able to move whatever debris we can manually by hand until the heavy artillery comes in. So we got work orders and we already put a bunch of emergency requests in, waiting for forestry to help out with that. We had a homeless removal yesterday at White Playground. The individual actually accepted services. So that is a big accomplishment. If one person accept services from DHS, it makes a world of a difference, even if it's just one person. So he accepted services to get help, assistance, should I say. We each one teach one. We also had a homeless removal clean out last week. That person didn't accept services, so more than likely he'll be back next week. So we'll be back every month or so, just cleaning up the area and get him to relocate. Of course, they always come back afterward. We got a couple of volunteer events coming up this weekend and next couple of weekends. My gardener, they're gonna help us start getting our gardens ready for the spring season. So that's a great positive thing as well. And as far as community activity, as I mentioned last month, the Less Green NYC app is live online. Any people that that want to participate in some volunteer events, sign up to the app, reach out to Carlos Acosta. He's our community outreach coordinator. And we look forward to people coming out and assisting Parks Department, helping us out. We need public feedback and public assistance in any facet. And again, as I mentioned about the park operation hours has changed. With parks, our Blair bathrooms are open up till 7. Of course, at the discretion of the weather and staff and availability. Once Memorial Day to Labor Day comes, then we'll be able to keep the bathrooms open a little later. So, and that's pretty much it on my end.
Great. Thank you so much, David. Are there any questions? Yep, go ahead.
Mike McLean, Robert McLean, he's trying to log in, but he's having issues. So he just told me to let you know. I told him that I had got a invite this a couple of hours ago. I told him to search for that. So if he's able to log in, he'll be joining us shortly.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right. Are there any other Parks Department staff wishing to give an update to our committee today? All right, seeing none, we will move along. Is there anyone here from the Department of, oh, sorry, were there any questions for David? I didn't ask. Okay. We'll move along to the Department of Sanitation. Is there anyone here from the Department of Sanitation? Seeing none, we'll move along. Is there anyone here from the Department of Environmental Protection who would like to give an informational update? All right. We'll move along to our parks advocacy groups. Randall's Island Park Alliance. Hello. Hello.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It's Donna.
Wait.
I have just a few updates for you guys because my colleagues are on the, they're going to be giving a presentation on all the wonderful programs RIPA offers.
Great.
So the first thing, I'm very excited to announce that New York City Parks has a new Manhattan Borough Commissioner, Tricia Shamura. So prior to Park, she served as Deputy Chief of Staff to Congresswoman Carolyn Mahoney, as well as she worked for the Director of Government Relations at Columbia University. And she is officially with us 11 days now. So we're very excited to have her at the helm. Let's see, all athletic and soccer fields are now open and track and field meets have begun. There's no new updates on the Herc facility. NYPD remains on site and it's very quiet on that side of the island, which is a good thing. As you mentioned before about the discus thrower, we're excited to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the discus thrower statue, which has been relocated to the newly renovated North Plaza at Icon Stadium. And a little history there, the discus thrower was sculpted in 1924 by Greek artist Costa Dimitriadis, yes, to be exhibited at the Olympic Games in Paris, after which it was gifted to New York City and its original home in Central Park. And we are looking forward to participating in the Earth Day at the museum on the 19th. Jessica, I think we would like a booth.
Great.
So that we can interact with everyone. And I was wondering if you had gotten any kind of feedback from the museum on our worm bin, or should we
Yeah.
just move on from?
So we met with them on Tuesday, and we made the request, that they strongly consider it. So, I think the consensus was, that they would get back to us on the patio. It sounds like it might be okay for the front terrace, but if for some reason that there is rain and we need to come back into the auditorium space, we would not be allowed to have it. So I think,
Right.
hopefully we can get the answer from them. I'll follow up this week, but I'm hoping that the answer is yes for the terrace and, just, hoping that we don't have rain.
Okay, that sounds great. And that's all for me. Any
Okay.
questions?
Any questions? Sharon?
Donna, you forgot to mention the most important part of Trisha Shimamura's background. She's a former community board member and also the co-chair of the Parks Committee.
Of Community Board 8, right?
Community Board 8,
Right.
yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Great.
Wonderful.
other-
I know that she has been involved in so much, so I just wanted to give you a little brief introduction. And like I said, we are thrilled to have her.
Great. Any other questions for Randall's Island Park Alliance before we move to the presentation? All right. Without further ado, and before we move on to our next, any other parks advocacy groups, we'll recognize our friends here in the audience to give their presentation. Welcome. Thank you for being here in person. Great. Thank you so much. And just a note for everyone, I know we have a lot of people in here, which is awesome. Thank you so much for being here in person. We are only able to hear sound out of this small item on the table, so please limit your crosstalk. Please don't have side conversations so that we can allow the people on the internet to hear our presenters. Thank you. And yeah, silence your phones, please.
I see, I can scroll. I just might need a reminder if I'm talking and the slide's no longer relevant. But hi, everyone. We're excited to be here today. My name's Anna Kemeny, and I'm the Public Programs Manager at Randall's Island Park Alliance.
And I'm Andrea Ready, I'm the Communications Manager.
Cool. And we're excited to be here, and I think this is both of our community board as well.
Oh, great.
So-
Oh, love
Yeah.
that.
Happy to be here both in our professional and personal capacity.
Awesome.
Cool. There we go. Cool. Yeah, so we're just gonna briefly speak on some of the fun events and activities and outreach and communications work that we've been doing at Randall's Island Park Alliance. We offer about 250 to 300 free community events each year, and we have a really full calendar planned this year, and we hope that we'll see many of you and people in your networks out at some of those. That includes 2 free field trip programs based on environmental education, a 5-week summer camp, 3 major community festivals, over 90 local partners, many of those from East Harlem and from this community board, and a whole bunch of community volunteer opportunities. So our 3 core focuses of our programming are arts and culture, health and wellness, and environmental education. And throughout all of our programs are free and open to the public, and we do our best to make the park into a space for art, play, education, and just use the lovely green space that is so desperately needed in busy New York City. So believe it or not, these are gonna be just a few highlights because we've got lots and lots of fun things happening. We do these 3 seasonal festivals. They're large scale, all types of partners. A partner we're particularly excited about this year is Art in the Park. They're arts programming based, I think they're like, I think based out of 127th Street. But they'll be at each of our festivals, and Earth Day Festival is coming up. It's the day after the CB11 conference, so you can just make a whole weekend out of it. And then throughout the year, we have a number of celebrations, which are kind of like our mid-sized events. We're very excited for Big Truck Day. We're working with city agencies. You can come out and touch a truck and learn about all of the things that the large trucks do to support our city. Great for all ages. Last year, it was certainly child heavy, but I think good for everyone. And then just another range of a whole range of events, but a new program that we're excited about is a live and local art pop-up that we'll be hosting in September. And we are currently seeking like new partners for that program. So if you're connected to any local artists or art programming organizations, I have some cards, so please, I'd love to connect with you and get some contacts for that. And then we also offer 2 weekly volunteer opportunities. Team River restores our wetlands and our gardens, and then we have Sunday volunteering at our urban farm space. Focusing in on some of our programming categories, we offer a range of health and wellness programming. We are hosting 2 community track nights at Icon Stadium this year. We're working with Harlem Run. They'll be leading workouts at those. And we're extra excited because we weren't able to host any last year due to the construction on the stadium. So come out and get fit with us. We also do regular yoga, and we do a youth program at Thomas Jefferson Park called the Jesse Owens track and field program. And we are working with El Barrio Bikes, Community Cycling Coalition, to offer bike rides to all of our festivals. Additionally, on the arts and culture side, we'll host 3 movie nights in June, July, and August. And we do we work with Boogie Down Books, which is wall-less bookstore. They're based out of the Bronx, but they do children's book readings, and they'll be using the park as like a reading space this summer. We're also working with Drag Story Hour to host another book reading, and our horticulture team is leading a couple of workshops. One is on pressed botanicals and one is on natural dyeing, and those will use flowers grown at Randall's Island Park. I think I mentioned we have over 90 local partners, but these are just a couple that we're particularly excited to be deepening our work with this year. We've received a grant to do expanded food education programming with Little Sisters of the Assumption, which is a health service nonprofit located on 115th Street. And we're excited to be working with them in their space. And then we'll also be hosting weekly nutritional food demonstrations at our urban farm on Saturdays as part of that grant. We're also working with City Bike to sponsor some of our bike rides, where we've been able to get a key that can unlock up to 30 bikes for free, so that you don't necessarily need to own a bike in order to participate. And we're always keenly aware that Randall's Island is challenging to get to, and biking is a really great way to get there, but owning a bike or keeping a bike in your apartment can be a bit of a to do. So City Bike is helping us get more people on bikes and get more people to our programs. And then finally, we're working, we've been doing regular programming with Union Settlement and Odyssey House. And I would also like to say, I know there's representation from other service organizations like Children's Aid and hello, and Concrete Safaris. And we do both public drop-in programming, but we also do partnered programming. So please take our contact info and reach out if you work for Children's Aid or are associated with another group. How am I doing on time? I'd just like to say a little bit more about our education, environmental education programming. We try to turn the park into a classroom, a science lab. We offer free field trip programs at our urban farm and at our wetlands. Registration for that, for the summer session, will open very soon. And in addition to school-based field trip programs, we do offer a number of free drop-in educational events. Our next one will be on Monday for the solar eclipse. We have a number of classes to offer and some eclipse educational information to share. So come on over. And we do offer a number of paid opportunities for internships. We work with SYEP throughout the summer. We have openings for that on our programming team, on our horticulture team, and with our urban farm. So there's multiple options to learn and work with us in that capacity. And we are also able to offer the working apprenticeship through estuarine research apprenticeship, which is a fun way to say water. And to participate in that program, you need to either live or go to school in East Harlem. And it is a paid opportunity that we're really excited to be able to offer. And I'm now gonna hand it over to Drea, who's gonna share a little more about our communications and outreach.
Awesome. Cool. So I'll quickly go through. So recently we just launched a new website. So super excited about that. You can definitely check it out through the QR code. The website really just focuses on improved user experience. So we have a different type of layout, really intuitive. There's a map that kind of moves with you in terms of where you're gonna be on the park specifically. Our homepage features different sections in terms of like weather updates, field news, just the need to know about what's going on in the park if it comes to events, and then even like different programs. So we're super excited about that. And then just different calls to actions when it comes to, you know, donations and just giving and more about what we do as an organization. So super excited about that. A lot of work went into it and just really helpful. So yeah, we're hoping it's gonna be a great start to just get people on board and learn more about RIPA. And then in terms of some metrics and milestones we hit this year, definitely ramping up the email communication. So we're super excited about that number and look to kind of just continue our growth in terms of things that we're sharing with our communities. Our most visited page is the map. So a little bit what I talked about there is a really interactive view when you are viewing it. So I encourage you to check it out, but it'll kind of move with you and hover over different things and what it kind of offers for our community members. So that's really great to kind of see and just get a really visual experience there. And then a huge exciting thing, we hit 10K on Instagram. So that was really nice, but just through different collaborations, using a little bit more of the tools and then just really nice visuals to really capture all of the park has to offer. So it's been great. I am recently from the DC area, so it's been amazing just getting to learn about RIPA and just amazing New York in general. So love kind of seeing that and seeing it come to life. And then a few of the events that we have obviously is the upcoming discus thrower unveiling. So really encourage you guys to come out to that. We're super excited about the work that's gone into it and just happy to share it. So we look forward to seeing some really lovely faces there and can't wait to really soak that in. And then in terms of the upcoming Earth Day conference, Dipper will be there to support and gather more information and just look to share our resources and just kind of, you know, keep sharing the message about what we do as an organization.
And do let us know about the worm bin.
Who else? I know, I'm pushing hard for it.
Yeah, thanks for the number. So. Yeah.
Great. Do you mind just writing your names down on this paper so I can get it right for the minutes? Sorry. Thank you.
We had. Yeah, I was like, but we can, and if anyone, yeah, I think both have cards and.
These are your names, then I don't need that.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I think I just saw the list of partners, Cadapaso, I am the coordinator.
Really? Oh, lovely. Yeah, we've, I would say, I think we've I know I've talked to like Kathy about it
Yes,
before.
Dr. Copy, yes.
So yes, I would say we've loved having better programs.
Yes, I love the fishing part.
Yes, I know, that's what comes to mind for me. I'm so glad. It's so fun to work with you all on that.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Michelle? Oh, yes, sorry. And then, yeah, I'm gonna recognize, if that's okay, the people to speak, but Debbie, did you just need a card?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then Michelle and then Rosa. Okay, Michelle.
Okay, I was curious when you said that there is a map of Randall Island and
Yes.
that it was live. I'm just noting something that happened last summer where things were rearranged. And like a movie was moved from one spot to another spot. And everyone was trying to figure it out, so is there like a live map of changes that would be happening? So that would people would be able to see where something moves, if it
Yeah.
happens that same day or that same hour.
Yeah, we do have a little adjustment, so I'll offer an alternative, directly on our homepage, so when you go there, there is a little field for in terms of like news updates. Or relative things that you might see in terms of either event movals, like if something's happening or just, weather. So that's kind of right there in terms of a notification space, so that'll kind of give you the update there front and center. We also do actively try to just update our Twitter on a month-to-month basis. And then obviously when there are, live events going on immediately there as well. But I definitely will get back to you. I think that'd be something for our developers to kind of implement, just to kind of have it maybe pop up on the page as you're acting, so.
Cause more so, you know how like Google Maps has like the
Mhm,
thing,
Yeah,
because Randall Island is,
It's
it's not.
Yeah, I remember the movie night you're talking about. It moved from like the south to the north.
And everyone was just in circles.
yeah, right, yeah.
Figure it out. All right.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely get back to you and get some more information on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then, it's not a question, but, just hope that we have the chair of our youth and education and vice chair of our youth and education committee here. So I'm just hoping that you can make a quick announcement at the beginning of your meeting, with, these updates. That would be great.
Yeah, well, we actually use the summer program. I actually,
summer camp.
yeah, I actually have 2 new managers, so I wanna make sure that we connect and they
Great.
get everything situated, but
Okay, that's great. We'll connect.
yes, but. I think we should also do a follow-up presentation also
Yeah,
at the youth and education.
Sure, we'd love to,
committee,
yeah.
so.
All right.
But I'm no longer the chair.
Okay, got it. Okay. Let us know when we talk to
to.
I'll pass it to Asher and then Malik.
For the open farm, what are the hours for that and how could we get up to them?
It's 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. I think it runs from like our Earth Day
Oh, so
festival.
it's not during the weekdays, it's just a weekend?
It's just the weekends officially. The farm is like, if the doors are open when you during the week, if the farmers are at the farm and the doors are open, you're welcome to go in like a self-led capacity. But if you have a group that you'd like to bring, you can email us.
Oh, yeah,
We
and
do
what ages?
all ages. We
All
work with
ages, okay,
everyone from pre-K to senior,
okay.
all ages.
Who responds best?
Depends
Well,
on
we
the
work
group.
from youth up until teens.
Yeah,
Asher and I work together.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. Well, I think what's fun about an outdoor space is you can learn something new at any age, which I think is, that's the thing I love about where we work.
And what about working with kids with disabilities?
That is, something we offer as well. Yeah, all ages, all abilities, all free is our programming model.
All right, Malik.
The bike rides, when do y'all do the bike rides?
We are doing 3 each to our festivals. So they'll be like the same date as the festival, starting in East Harlem before the festival. And then we're working on putting a few more on the calendar, but we don't have dates for them to share yet.
Okay. So no, even the festivals, no dates at the
The
moment?
festivals we have dates for. It's
4/20 for Earth Day, Waterfront on July 20th and Harvest Festival on September 29th.
Yep, yeah, and sorry.
You was gonna say?
And on each of those dates, the bike rides will meet at 11:30 at the city bike station in Thomas Jefferson Park.
What time?
11:30.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a good.
And then I had can someone pick up the glasses for the eclipse? I know you said that y'all have them
Yeah.
available where and.
If
I would
you-
bring any here.
We've got some maps. It's, if you come to the event, you can pick them up.
Which of them?
We're hosting an event.
Does he mean me?
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
That'd be exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, specifically on Monday.
All right,
Yeah.
side conversations, please. Thank you.
Yeah, on Monday at 2:30 PM at the East River Picnic area.
Okay, but
And
none before,
none before,
okay.
sorry,
Don't look at.
gotta show up.
All right, are there any other questions for Randall's Island Park Alliance? All right, I don't see any hands raised. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being in person. It's lovely to hear about all the programming and hope that we can take advantage of it as much as possible.
Lovely, thanks, we'll see you at Earth Day.
Yeah, see you at Earth Day. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right, are there any other, what is this, parks advocacy groups? Any other parks advocacy groups that would like to give an informational update? All right, any other community-based organizations who would like to give an update? Jennifer Ratner. Hello, nice to see you.
Hi, good to see you too. I'm Jennifer Ratner from Friends of the East River Esplanade, and we also have a big lineup of programs. Not all of them are in East Harlem, but we consider it all part of the community as our waterfront is contiguous. So if you follow us on Instagram at Esplanade Friend, you will hear about many of our upcoming programs. We are going to be specifically in East Harlem unveiling a new crochet mural at around 100th Street, and there will be activities associated with that. To find out more information, follow us on Instagram. We are going to have coming up in the spring and summer a number of bird walks in partnership with NYC Audubon, a number of planting days to plant our pollinator gardens, some fishing clinics, composting education programs. We were the recipient of Manhattan Borough President grant to further our composting education in conjunction with our Green Park Gardeners committee. And then we have a whole host starting in the last Saturday in April, a whole host of live music programs on various Saturdays where we have free live music. We give out free ice cream while supplies last. We have arts and crafts activities for kids and some other kids activities. And there are more things. We're going to be hosting a Jane's Walk on the East Harlem part of the waterfront that I'll be leading in May in conjunction with the Municipal Arts Society. So a whole host of things. If you want to find out more, sign up to get our e-blast and also follow us again on Instagram at Esplanade Friend. So in the interest of time, that's all I'll say.
And just to confirm, what is the date and time for the crochet mural event?
So I don't want to say the wrong date and time, but it is the first Saturday. I believe it's the 4th of May. But we can get back to you with the exact time because I don't know the exact time that we have for them.
Okay, great. Well, I think our parks meeting is on May 2nd. So hopefully if you come to that, we can announce the date right before it happens.
Yeah, I think it's 12 noon is the time. May 4th, 12 noon. So we hope people come, and we're doing a lot of fun things around that also. It's co-sponsored by Memorial Sloan Kettering. So it's gonna be fun.
Great. Any questions for Friends of the East River Esplanade or Esplanade Friends? All right, seeing none, thank you so much for being here, Jennifer. It's nice to see you, and we'll see you on the Esplanade.
Thank you.
All right. Our next item of business is our presentations and discussions. So we'll move along to our first presentation, and I'm gonna try to help keep it moving because I know it's gonna be a long presentation. I think hopefully we can accomplish it in 25 minutes and then leave some time for questions.
Hi, everybody. Sarah Nielsen from New York City Parks in the Environment and Planning Division. It's so nice to be back here. I feel like before COVID, I was here all the time on different projects, and then now you guys have all been through the portal on the internet, so it's just really nice to see you all in real life, so thanks for having us. So we have a lot of really cool stuff to share with you tonight, and as Jessica said, we're gonna try to speed through it. We have a really talented team working on this project. And we have our artist who's selected here, who's gonna also share work, so this is just like, hopefully you'll be as excited as we are. I wanted to touch, I know last week we had or last month, there was a presentation of lots of ideas also about the East River, and we just wanted to kind of just acknowledge that we're aware of that, and we've been in touch, and we will be in touch, and we just kind of wanted to like, just reference that we're, you know, kind of all part of the same conversation. This project is funded and we're moving ahead, and we're really excited to share the designs. And if there needs to be conversation kind of about all the permitting and all the sort of the weeds of it, we're happy to sort of set something up and do that with you all when the time is right. Not tonight probably, but we're happy to sort of engage on that if that feels like something that would be useful, so.
Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome. So I know we did a briefing with Councilmember Ayala yesterday, and she was, I don't wanna oversell it, but she was really excited about this too. So just to, you know, got that, we're riding the wave of that great conversation with her.
We have Elsie on the
Oh,
line.
great, okay, I don't see that. So with that, I will give it over to my colleague from EDC, Catherine Pavilski, and she'll introduce the project team and take it from there. So thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, everyone. It is really nice to be here in person. Did I click?
You can just scroll.
Okay.
Sorry, can you repeat your name for the?
Sorry, yeah. It's not. My name's,
Scroll, just-
oh, it is actually.
You just
Oh,
scroll.
thank
Oh, that's
you.
good.
You want
So-
us to drive?
It's okay. I'm only doing like, just like, not like Gentry. Oh, I can drive for Gentry then. So my name is Catherine Pavilski. I'm a Senior Vice President at EDC in our capital program. My colleague Meredith Simon Pearson's not here tonight. She's the project manager on this. You've also seen her at the community board meetings. So EDC is doing this project on behalf of parks. We frequently do projects on behalf of parks. And it's a great partner, and we like working for them. We like working for other community partners in the city as well. So the project, as you all know, is from 94th up to 107th Street. And it also includes rebuilding the pier at 107th Street. And then there's a gap in the project scope from 117th up to 124th Street. And 124th Street is the southern end of the Manhattan Greenway Harlem River project, which EDC is also doing with parks. And so that project will break ground on construction in the next several weeks, which is really exciting. I believe they'll come back next month to kind of give a little broader update on the construction.
We are having a groundbreaking event in June, so
Okay.
stay tuned, but
Yeah.
it's coming up.
Yeah, so that is exciting. The project is rebuilding the entire Esplanade in the area that I showed you, as well as the pier. And then the map also just shows the other projects, other parks projects in the vicinity. Parks is doing the project between 114th and 117th Street. And that starts construction later this summer. Yes. And then I think I turn it over to Gentry now, but I'll just kind of go to the next slide too. You guys know where we are, we're in East Harlem. You know your neighborhood, but we did want to just include it for context in regards to the other parks and amenities that are nearby. You can see in yellow, is the Esplanade. And then I will sit and Gentry can stand. How about that?
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll breeze through some of these first slides. We did present, to you guys in June. So some of this you've already seen. I know that was a long time ago, so it might be good to have a little bit of a refresher, but because we're limited on time, I'll just kind of breeze through and stop us if you have any questions or details. But existing condition, terrible condition. The pier is completely closed to the public. It's deteriorating. We are, completely rebuilding that. If you go to the next slide, this is just what it looks like at the very northern section where we'll be connecting to the Manhattan Greenway Harlem River, if I got that right. Project. So this is just a reminder of where we are in design. We are at about 50% complete with our design. We plan to be about 100% to issue 100% construction documents in the early part of 2025. And at which point it'll go into procurement, and then construction will hopefully begin later part of 2025. Early part of or later part of 2025, early 2026, yes. So we've had a pretty active community engagement process, and the community has actually been very active, and we've received a lot of feedback from you guys. We've had workshops back last February as well as pop-up events. We had a walkthrough with some of you. And then we last saw you guys in June of last year where we provided an update. And then our last workshop was in July where we received more feedback from you. So since then, we've received feedback from you, we've taken that feedback and we've begun the design process. And that takes time. We've been coordinating with the Parks Department, EDC, with all the other various agencies and DOT and all the other agencies that, you know, have some kind of stake in this. So what we're doing tonight, we'll be presenting kind of those updates. So as we mentioned, the Esplanade will be a full reconstruction. We are designing for sea level rise, so the Esplanade will be raised about 2 to 3 feet higher than where it is today. So it will be higher than where the FDR highway is. So just to make sure I get some of my talking points here. So the design parameters that we established are really based on the width of the project. As you well know, there's areas where it's very narrow and areas where it's much wider. So in areas where it's narrower, we would have a shared use path where the cyclists and the pedestrians share the Esplanade. And then you'll have a planting buffer between that Esplanade and the FDR highway. Where the width is wide enough, it will be a separated bike path, where you have a 4-foot planting buffer next to the highway, and then you have the bikeway, and then a planted median that separates the bikeway from the pedestrians that will be walking along the water side. Yeah, that's good. So we'll kind of go through these. We're starting from the south side. This is at 94th Street and we'll kind of walk our way up. So this is in an area where it's fairly narrow. So we have about a 12-foot shared use path and then a planting buffer that buffers from the highway. And we do provide, I should mention that our overarching goal in all of this is to provide as much shade as possible, as much trees and planting, as well as a variety of seating options as well. So this is 96th Street. This is our only at-grade entrance onto the Esplanade. So in this area, we have chosen to widen the Esplanade a little bit, just to give it a little bit more space, because it is going to be kind of a node and a gathering spot. So the Esplanade here, as I mentioned, it's 2 to 3 feet higher than the existing grade of where the FDR is and where 96th Street is. So the Esplanade actually remains high, but there are ramps on both sides that ramp down to the existing grade at 96th Street where there's going to be crosswalks to go across. And then as we move north, we're still at the narrow section where we have a shared use path with planting. And if you want to go to the next slide, at about 99th Street is where it gets wide enough where we have a separated bike path here. So we have the 4-foot buffer, the bikeway, the planted median, and then the walkway side with benches lining that as well. And then on the next slide, it's kind of our first opportunity at 101st Street where we have like an overwater extension or part of the Esplanade that will bump out into the water. This is one of those requests that we did receive from the community to have a few more nodes of spaces where we don't just have that overwater extension at the pier, but we have it in other locations along the Esplanade. So we do have a smaller bump out that has a variety of seating options. There's lounge seating, there's tabletop or bar height seating as well. The El Barrio bait station is relocated in this area as well. And then, yeah, if you zoom in, there's also like a kids cove that we're providing here where we have a variety of boulders and rocks and for seating, small benches for kids high as well as game tables. We keep it a little bit open too for opportunity to have like an outdoor classroom for one of the schools to come over to use that space as well. We do add a lot more buffer for here because this is kind of an activity node. So we do want to buffer a little bit more from the highway as well. Okay, and then these are just perspective views. These are actually opportunities to have great views too, because it's in a, you got the Ward's Island Bridge up to the north, and then it kind of opens up to towards the East River down on the south side here. That you can see a little bit here. I should mention, these are all brand new materials too, so we're staying in the park family of standards, but it is all brand new materials, concrete pavers, you've got an asphalt for the bikeway. The asphalt pavers along the entire Esplanade walking surface as well, brand new C rail, everything will be new. And then when we get up to about 102nd Street, we're getting close to the 103rd Street Bridge. So we do come back down to a shared use path here where we'll meet the pedestrian bridge, which we'll be meeting. This pedestrian bridge is outside of our scope of the project though, so we'll just be meeting that bridge. This is just a view looking back south again at the overwater extension piece that's at 101st Street. And then at 104th Street, we get wide enough to have a separated bike path again. And in this area, if you go to the next slide, you'll zoom in, there's opportunity for adult fitness equipment here as well. We have worked with the Parks Department extensively on the equipment that will go here to make sure it's fully accessible. We have a variety of seating. There's also some lean bars that kind of separate the adult fitness from the bikeway for safety reasons, of course, too. And here's a view of some of those variety of equipment that we would have in that space. And then as we're still at a separated bike path here, we're at about between 105th and 106th Street. Actually, you can go to the next slide because it's just a blow up of that area. We do provide interaction with musical plate instruments. There are these actually beautifully, they look like art pieces. They're stainless steel, they're drums, and it's really musical playing, and you can sit there and make the drums. So just a view of that.
Is it still tongue drum?
Are they what?
Are they still tongue drums or just steel drums?
They are, I think there's a variety of different drums.
Tongue drums, yeah.
I have heard that name bounced around, so. Another view, as we get closer to the southern entrance to the pier, which Andrew will go over the pier design in more detail in a little bit. Next slide. This is at the very northern section of our southern section, where we come back down to meet existing grade at the Esplanade again, and then, like, as I mentioned, Andrew will talk about the pier design shortly, and then this is also where the art will be located, which Jerome will be speaking to as well tonight. So we pick back up at 117th Street here. It's again a shared use path. We have another opportunity to have another overwater extension piece here with a variety of seating options. And then you can just, here's a view of that. We did have opportunity to have planting and trees out here to provide a little bit more shade as well. And then you go to the next slide. This is just a perspective view rendering of that. And then at 120th Street, we're working with the team that is building the new 120th Street Ped Bridge from TBTA. So we'll be coordinating with them to make sure that the two projects work seamlessly together. There's also some cafe or game tables off to the side as well. This is the one area where it's just absolutely too narrow to do much other than just walk. So,
Keep going. Just walk
yes.
fast.
And then this is where it widens back out into at about 123rd Street, and we provide a little bit more of a park-like feeling here. It's really a uniquely wide area that we can provide as much shade and trees as possible. So we have a picnic area here, lawn space, and lots of trees. And then we meet existing grade, or we meet grade again to meet the northern project that's now in construction, and that project will be built by the time we construct, so. And then I think that's out in the Esplanade, so I'll just turn it over to Andrew then to update us on the pier design.
So hi, everybody, I'm Andrew Brown, I'm an architect with Marvel and we're working on the pier. So to start, we just wanted to kind of remind everyone in terms of some of the basic thinking behind the pier. And starting with the existing pier, you've already heard tonight that that existing pier is in such rough shape that what we're really doing here is building a new pier because that structure is just unsafe. And so that gives us an opportunity to consider the shape of the pier. And so what we really started with this was with looking at the existing pier and then also some of the community engagement meetings that Gentry mentioned. And the three main things with the existing pier that we were looking at were, the first was that it's not accessible. That had that raised section in the middle is not accessible if you're in a wheelchair or if you're you have a physical disability. The views from all different sides of the pier are wonderful, but also very different. And then from the point of view of shade, the shade is very important on the pier, but the existing shade structure creates this long, low shaded space that's quite dark and difficult to program. So as we began thinking about the new pier, we began thinking about how we might change some of these things and address them directly. So if you move forward to the next slide, you see the first thing we did was really consider a splayed connection, so a kind of 2-point connection to the Esplanade so that it would feel more integrated with the path of walking along the waterfront. The second is that instead of creating sort of one singular central space, we use that kind of 2 points of connection to create a few different spaces, each of which is oriented to those great views and those different views from the different edges of the pier. And then the shade structure really provides shade where we want it. We'll walk through some of the spaces individually, but the shade structure is smaller, but centered right in the middle of the pier where we're going to have a kind of flexible gathering space that we heard was very important to the community. And we'll show you about what each of those spaces looks like in more detail. So here is to begin as a kind of aerial of what we're proposing for the new pier. So you see those sort of 2 points of connection back to the walkway along the waterfront. The central gathering space with the shaded area. And then we have the tip of the pier, which is open with different types of seating and really takes advantage of being way out over the river in the middle of the river there. And we're going to walk through each of those spaces in more detail here. So this is the site plan of the pier. And so we have a few different zones. We're going to break it up into different spaces as we walk through the pier. We have the picnic bridge where you access the pier from the waterfront. You have the central gathering area that we call the pier steps. And then we have the pier overlook at the very tip of the pier. And each of these different areas has different types of furniture, different types of seating that will cater to different types of activities and sizes of gatherings. And then in the kind of triangular area where those 2 points of connection create a sort of triangular, we call it a cove. That's an area that we're looking at as a potential space for ecological enhancements. Things like oyster reef, the water's quite shallow there. So that's a zone that we're looking to do something in the water in that space. So this will be a series of views where we're going to sort of walk through the various spaces along the pier. So here we're still on the Esplanade that Gentry just walked us through. We're approaching the pier from the south, and you see how that sort of first bridge, that arm kind of peels off the Esplanade and connects you better to the pier. If we move forward, we're starting with that sort of that bridge section, what we're calling the picnic bridge, and this area is pretty unique. It has it's very connected to the river. You have water on both sides, and along this area, we're providing picnic tables with shade umbrellas with this bright colorful color that will provide kind of different size dining opportunities for different sizes of gatherings. This is also where Gentry pointed out this is the site of the public art that Jerome's going to talk us through in just a second. So from eye level view, this is the experience of walking along that sort of approach bridge where you see the line of picnic tables, those colorful umbrellas for family gatherings, and you still have a clear path to walk along. You also see how we're sort of orienting the first of these bridges toward those views to the north of the river. So if we keep going along the pier, now we're in the sort of center of the pier. This is what we're calling the pier steps, that big gathering area. And one of the things we really heard was important from the community was to have a flexible gathering area where we could have things like performances, different sizes of groups could get together, and it's important that it be shaded as well. So in this view, we sort of hidden the shade structure that's overhead. We'll look at it again later, but you're sort of seeing through it so that we can see what's going on at the ground level. And so this has a series of sort of stepped seating elements. Some of them have backs. There's space for companion seats for folks who are in wheelchairs. And this area has a kind of large gathering space. And you'll notice the seating steps have a kind of angle to them, and we'll see in the next view why that is. So the twist that you see there helps orient those out to the river. So you have the best views kind of out to the center of the river where it opens up and connects to the East River beyond. And you have the Wards Island Bridge there. And so here's an example of the kind of feeling of being on those steps for something like a performance happening. And you see now that the shade structure overhead that we'll show you kind of even more detail on in just a second. So lastly, now we're all the way out at the tip of the pier. And here, one of the things that we notice on the existing pier, you know, that the existing shade structure, it stops short. So when you're at the tip of the pier, it's fully open, it's open overhead. And we really noticed how peaceful and calm that space was. And so we thought it was important that the new pier also had that kind of openness at the tip. And we provided a bunch of different types of seating for sort of intimate, smaller scale gatherings that can really take advantage of the peace and quiet at that tip of the pier. If we go to the next view, the first of those is a kind of group of fixed benches and seating that create a smaller gathering space that could be used for something like an outdoor classroom or a smaller gathering. And then we also have a series of gliders, which are suspended bench seats that can kind of have a gentle motion, not a very big motion, but a gentle motion back and forth of just a few inches that are oriented to the two different faces of the pier. And then we also have a series of sun loungers and different types of benches that provide a variety of types of seating out of this tip of the pier, all oriented to these wonderful views, both to Randall's Island, south to the Wards Island Bridge, and then north to up the river. And so this final view gives you a sense of that space kind of at dusk and sunset, where you see those, again, kind of even more clearly, those gentle gliders that I was mentioning before. And then finally, we wanted to just talk a little bit because the shade structure on this pier is pretty distinctive. It has this pretty unique design to it. We wanted to just talk a little bit about our thinking there. And when we were thinking of the design for the shade structure, we've been really inspired by the site being so connected to the water. But we also were trying to think about something that would be more open, a little bit more porous, more welcoming than the existing shade structure. And so we were inspired a lot by forms of waves, but also forms of sails, something that feels light and welcoming overhead. And those were the sort of design inspirations as we began to look at the shape of the shade structure and how it's composed. So in this slide, you see one view of the shade structure where you see it has a very simple metal frame. It's metal just like the existing shade structure, but this will be a simple stainless steel metal frame. That is durable and also has a kind of reflective quality to it, so that since we're over the water, we'll catch a little bit of that reflection. And then overhead, the shade panels are convex and concave, and they alternate to create this kind of wave pattern, and also to create this feeling of sort of like a suspended sail overhead. And they also have a perforation to them, so that they have holes in them with a pattern that also creates this kind of sense of motion, but also means that sunlight does get through. So it feels light, it feels like you have a bit of a dappled shade, like the one that a tree canopy might give on the ground, that makes that space feel a little bit more welcoming. So if we go to the next slide, you see that also the same way that the seating steps have that little turn to the best views, the shade canopy is also oriented in the same way to make sure that the shade is where we want it to be, is located over top of the seating steps, and that those areas are sheltered from the hot summer sun. But you also kind of see in this view that dappled shade effect on the ground. And that's really what we wanted to share with you today. To kind of orient those again, right? You have the picnic bridge as you come off the esplanade, that central shaded gathering area, and then the overlook at the tip with the different types of seating.
So I'll just do this slide real quick. So the project has been submitted to PDC, the Public Design Commission, which is a requirement of any city project. The meeting, the PDC meeting is April 15th. That is, as always, a public meeting. This project will be presented there. And then we plan to come back to you. We'll come back whenever you would like us, but we anticipate, needed to come back in the fall. And then I think the next, again, yeah, so the project contact information for questions, and then the EDC website, which has these presentations, as I know you guys do too. But these pieces are on our website. So I'm not sure if you wanted us to answer questions on the design first, or move into Jerome's art.
I think let's finish out the presentation and we'll hold questions till the end. Thank you very much.
Switch then to and do you want to drive or want me to drive?
If you show me how to drive.
Just a lot of scrolling.
Scrolling, yeah. I'm happy to do it. Yeah, but it's just, what you can't do.
All right, and I'm scared to ask how much time
I mean, if you could keep it to 5-10 minutes, that would be great.
Okay, hello, everybody.
Good evening. How are
See
you?
you all. Nice to meet some of you. Hi, my name is Jerome Hayford. I'm also a member of this community board. I live on East 127th Street. And I've kept a studio space on East 104th, 345 for about 8 years. So come and visit me anytime. And you can usually see me riding my city bike. It used to be my bike, but now my city bike all over. That's how I get around. So I resonated with what you were saying. And it is my huge honor to present the design for the artwork at this location. Some of you were there when this was still in the proposal phase, and it was a huge honor to be selected for this. And I'm super excited, along with my 2 team members who I think are on the call, Gabriel Moya Perez and Pedro Cruz, who've been helping me with this, and also working with the incredible designers who are part of this larger team. It feels like a second ago it was August, and here we are. Yeah, so the title of the artwork is The Water Table. We can keep going, and this is a kind of front view of water table. And yeah, I'll sort of try to talk and walk here. So if we keep going, yeah. Well, real quick, if you go back. So the idea of the water table is to really celebrate the water's edge as a place of gathering, celebration, and repair, or even memory. And it's really conceived of as a kind of multi-layered artwork. And I'll get into that a little bit later, but we can keep going. We don't need to do all that right now. This is just a little bit of my work. A fair amount of it has been in Harlem. I'm also trained as an architect, and my work is really about sort of amplifying represented histories in public installation, in architecture and in art. And in also creating a way for folks to impact that. So this is also the Sankofa installation, which is up in Marcus Garvey right now, which influenced the idea. And so the location, a small alcove adjacent to the new pool created by the new 107th Pier, was chosen, and we all kind of re-chose it as this opportunity to kind of place make and create this sort of beautiful little plaza, a pier plaza at that location for really gathering at the water's edge. And we can go to the next. And that's just a zoom in of the site plan. And showing the scale of really creating this space by the water's edge. All right, and so, yes, and then this is really early thinking, early sketches here. And again, that the design of the piece is really, is meant to tap into a kind of archaeology of this site, which I'll talk about in the next slide. And also delivering everyday histories of the neighborhood. And this photograph, which I took, and I've taken a couple of these from this spot on Randall's Island at the All Nations powwow, really was the impetus for the piece. This idea that we've been doing this, we've been gathering at the water's edge for a really long time. And this is something we know how to do and need to remember how to do. And so witnessing these sort of ceremonies, these sort of events, which are really multicultural, ancient, and also right now, really made me think about this crescent shape and this sort of act that we do and how to remember the kind of water's edge. So that, we can keep going. And so then, really looking also at the kind of, again, perhaps, like a lot of the pieces I've done, using this as an opportunity to kind of inscribe some contributions from community members into the piece that I'll mention. And also think about the archaeology of the site. So this is an image which I sort of drew a sketch over, which became the kind of concept of the Harlem Creek, which if you look at the old maps, used to be this surface creek that emptied out right at this spot. So that the design of the piece is also kind of echoing that kind of memory of this waterway. That you can see in the VA map. Yeah, this is a big one. So like the pier is like right here today. And there were many waterways that got covered over, but are still there, actually. And this also just as a kind of image, was something that I've been like sketching over a lot and I think is evoked in the design. Next, but also thinking about weaving and water and craft tradition and how this is hopefully really starting to engage and kind of evoke those ideas. This was like early concept model. There's also messy physical stuff in the studio, but this was like a slick digital version of, again, how I've been working in, even like with Sankofa of a kind of like weaving and layering. Go next. And so this is a zoom of the two kind of elements of the piece, which on the right, these were really early drawings that I've stayed true. Probably GFRC, it's a kind of precast concrete panels that then form the strands on the esplanade and can be custom imprinted with some images or designs. And then also a kind of steel work that is this sort of backdrop to the altar. That can also, we can use CNC machines to sort of etch into that. Go next. And then this was just an inspiration of, again, artwork that you can sit on, but it's still artwork. That's always inspired me. This is a Maya Lin sculpture. Aerial view, again, of this new pool and coming upon the water table. Next. And so again, obviously, so like there's a kind of screen here that really, again, embraces us, focuses us towards the water, and then a kind of fragmented table, which again, we think about that ancient waterway that poured out into the river. This is a place for some of these education programs to happen. You can sit on the artwork, maybe, and also the rain will kind of pour into those strips when it rains, and we can sort of begin to etch some things into those strands that if anyone wants to talk to me about that in the next few months, happy to talk about it. Okay, let's go next. And then there's just some more views of the concept design. This is a top-down view. Go next. This is a perspective view of the piece. Go next. This is just another one labeling some of these elements as we've been getting into really how this is gonna hold up. Can keep going. Again, this is really starting to think about how the concrete and the steel can kind of come together in a weave. Go next. Slicing through, how, again, that altar and that steel work, a little zoom of, again, this precast concrete panel that can be etched and how it meets the steel screen and how that can be etched. And then from the other side, still able to see it. And yeah, this is just ending on a couple, some images of some of the materials and really looking at, starting to work with some folks who've been doing a lot of this furniture along the esplanade. And colors, maybe even some seashells you can embed into it. Go next. And then again, just a couple images of the back of that piece. And then, yeah, so the ambition is to hopefully collaborate with a few of these folks, some of the kids, by the end of their school year, or maybe in the park. I've done this before. It always happens a little bit differently, but to collect some water stories or some water motifs and see how we can incorporate some of that into the piece. also from some representatives of different cultures in the neighborhood, so next. So this is just an example of how an image might get sort of abstracted into this, so next. And this is just an example of some contributions that I got really at the beginning when I was starting to come up with the concept from a friend of mine, Ricardo Guerrero, who was thinking about Taino water imagery. So this is just was like a first example of what we might design on these strands, and would love to talk with others and get connected to see how we might design those strands. Thank you so much.
That was yours.
Thank you.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you all so much. I'm gonna open it up for questions. We'll start as we always do with members of the board, and then we'll open it up to members of the public in person and online. We'll start with Jewel Jones.
So is that an individual in a wheelchair? Cause I'm not seeing like the
Yes.
line of, how did that person manage that?
How they're fitting there?
Yeah, how do they, oh, okay.
It's just a gap, it's just a gap in the bed, in the altar, so that you can have companion seating.
Okay.
So we split it up so that folks in a wheelchair can
Okay.
pull up next to somebody.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a
All
gap.
right,
Okay.
one at a time.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Michelle?
All right, thank you for your presentation. It was very, intricate. And with the possibilities, it looked like it was going to be something fantastic in our future. I was just curious about, the lighting, because I saw, it seemed like it was pretty far apart, and it was mostly on one side. And when I looked, and then on the west side, I've seen that they were, lights that were embedded in the ground. Sometimes there were lights on the barrier that was going towards the water. Sometimes there were lights just dancing around all over the place. And I just was wondering if I missed that.
There definitely is going to be lights. They are, because this is maintained by parks, they're standard DOT lights, which are either the, for in our case, what are the type B pole on the Esplanade, but we are providing sufficient lighting, like it's going to be at the foot candle that's required to foot candle for the whole entire path. So yes, there's lighting, and then the pier will also have lighting too.
But maybe to be clear on, I think the primary or the only source of light is light poles. There's not like in-ground lights, or there aren't different types of fixtures. It will just be the light poles that have, they'll provide the right amount of light, like Gentry is saying, but it's just light poles. It's not a whole bunch of different types of fixtures.
Yeah.
And can I just clarify, is it that, can you scroll to one, is that the final light selection, or are we actually doing a different poll?
For the
That's-
pier, we are changing those slightly because of dark spots underneath that, and with DOT flags was not optional.
Yeah.
So
we're
we're
here
looking
for-
for the pier,
just the
yeah,
pier,
but the Esplanade itself has another pole that's more traditional looking, referred to this as a type B pole, and that's what's on other sections of the Esplanade, so we're pulling that design element
There we go.
from the north.
Yeah, I noticed that, they were just so sparse for our
They're
neighborhood.
typically for type B, I think they can be every 70 feet, and that's what we place them at. I mean, just to light the pathway, the planting beds don't have to be as lit, it's the pathways that have to be lit. So they run along the pathway, and then they meet code, like
Yeah.
they're not gonna have dark spots.
There's a lighting analysis that you do to measure how many foot candles.
No,
Yeah.
I totally, I understand that. I just
Yeah.
hoped that there would be a little bit more light. And I saw, I'm referring to the west side where they had lights, little blue lights that were interspersed, creating a safer environment. And so this is what I wanted to bring up.
So to add on to that.
Yep.
No, I just wanted to ask the same question. Are you going to something different, or are you staying in this?
No, I'm different.
So you saying the pier lights are gonna be different from actual
Yes.
Esplanade lights? And would the pier lights be brighter than or is this the same lights inside?
I mean, it's a different lumen there, but it generally will be the same, brightness.
Brightness.
Yeah.
The fixture looks more modern to match the modern.
Of the shape.
So it's just a fixture
Yeah.
and not LED or anything like,
Yeah, I mean, they're all LED, but yes, yeah.
okay.
One consideration for the lighting on the pier is we didn't want something that would cast too much brightness up because we've heard that ecological life is impacted by that light pollution out in the water. So we've tried to pay attention to not too much light pollution. It's a hard balance.
All right, Debbie Quinones.
What I'm interested in is I like the concept of the waves for the coverage. I think that's a nice, touch, but I wonder, are there gonna be holes or is it gonna be sheeted as well? Because I think that, people will want coverage from the rain. While it looks nice, you wanna be dry. So I'm wondering if it's solid.
It's not, it's really designed as a shade canopy with the idea that,
Okay.
like it's really protecting you from the sun more so than.
The rain? Well, I would kind of ask that you consider that at somehow.
I mean, I would say too, you'll get wet under there if it's a pouring rain.
Yeah.
But also if it's a pouring rain, you're maybe not hanging out.
Well, there's another one, but there's another slide that has like the whole, that shows
Yeah.
the light.
Yeah, this one doesn't show.
No,
whole
it's the
light.
next one after that, I
Yeah.
believe. Well, there's one that shows like,
Yeah, I think it was after the inspiration. This one here, yeah.
yeah, so I'm thinking like, to get coverage from the rain and maybe. Would it be that hard to make it into one piece? And just still have the design aspects with the light coming through, that's something for consideration.
Or have like a transparent material
Yeah,
that
like,
prevents water. from
Yeah,
dripping
some kind of
through.
right.
One other advantage of those perforations is that it does allow drainage, so it prevents like stuff collecting too much on the top and getting stuck.
It's just.
That was one of my questions, thank you for answering it.
Yeah.
We know that you have your budget and we know that you have the design, but this is, something to consider in terms of practicality. Because I commend you on the entire design. I just think about practicality in terms of like getting caught out there. It's a mess.
Yeah.
It's a mess, it is, and then, you just want, at least if you can find shade or something like that.
Right, are there any other questions from the board? David?
I have to say, I'm really impressed with the design and, we've seen a lot of projects by PPC and the collaborative, but I think this is exceptional. I think the thoughts that's been put into everything and the young article we have been here bringing to life that piece of artwork and maybe really looking at tying because of the heritage in the community and they lived here when those rivers ran through those waterways. So I think that will be, tying into the history and culture. I really love the way you brought it to life. And I know you all did too, but he's an artist, so you know.
You get all the credit.
Oh, we ain't. Really needed that.
This was a really great project, and I know we criticize you and I don't even really say the criticism.
It's a love-hate relationship.
We're bad, but we spent all this money and to not put that, but I don't want to dampen the presentation that we saw tonight as a board, and I want to dampen stuff that's putting right, but.
No, thank you, and I know
Just
we,
one question.
yeah,
The pier looks so much bigger. Does it extend much further out? It's just the appearance, okay, yeah.
It's the same surface area and it goes just as far out into the water as the.
But then we also have the angle, which adds extra.
Right, it's like,
That's
it's not
beautiful.
it's spaced out, but then we replaced it in that bridge.
Kids are gonna love that, my work with kids.
I cannot wait.
just to the point about the bathroom, I know we've been talking, do you wanna, bring up any comments?
Yeah, I mean, just, you all know, we've heard you loud and clear. We are very aware of the concern. We share the concern. We do have, a couple of funding requests in right now, that are going in. The Senate and Congress has the sort of the local funding option, like earmarks, they call them, and we are submitting
an application that would be for 2 restrooms, one at Playground 103 and one at Tom Jeff Park. Those are they're very competitive grant programs, it's a big ask, but we're putting it in, we're getting it on their radar. We've talked to, Jessica about the board doing a letter of support that would go in just to augment the, proposal. And we're also talking with, regular city funder about the location at 127th Street. So, it takes a village. We're really working on it. I think, the more that you guys can, talk to the elected officials to push for that, because, the thinking now is we might not get all the money from one entity, but if we can someone can be the stake in the ground, then the other ones will, join in there. So, just thanks so much for your patience and perseverance. And I think if we can sort of all work together to get at least one in the short term, and then ideally all 3, in sooner. So anyway, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah. Yeah, and thank you for listening to our concern on that for many, many meetings. And I know we have elected official representation on this call, so I hope they hear the call to action.
The council member here.
Yes, thank you.
Yesterday too, so.
Yeah, hopefully we can build a partnership towards making that happen. Well, okay, Asher and then Malik.
My only question is, I saw a list of schools there. Are you willing to work with other schools in the area?
For sure, yeah, let's talk.
All right, Malik, sorry.
I had a couple of questions as far as on the pier. I mean, I've seen that the picnic area, what type of structure will the picnic umbrella be? I guess for storming and.
Took my question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
If you like.
Yeah, it'll be a metal umbrella, so it's an umbrella shape, but it's metal.
Oh,
And
good.
we actually have a version of the same ones that are actually installed down at that pier at 38th Street. So if you're down there by, just north of 34th, there's a pier, we call it New Wave Pier. And it has the exact same type that we spec'd out for this. So they've been installed for a couple seasons now, so they've, gone through lots of crummy weather and have weathered those storms. So we're confident in those. Do you want to add anything?
Only to just like to your question of how like the bottom of the pole, in
Yeah.
addition to the metal, it gets anchored into the paving and then into the slab of the pier, so that it's really bolted down, it's not going anywhere.
And into the table.
Right.
And I would add too, that those same or very similar umbrellas, the metal, are also installed at, the new Gansevoort Pier on the west side, as well as Brooklyn Bridge Park. And at Brooklyn Bridge Park, they've been there even longer than they have been at New Wave Pier. So Parks was very concerned with umbrellas, and I will say, like, the EDC and design team was like, we really, really want the umbrellas, so we're really glad that we are showing you bright umbrellas on the pier right now.
Love that. Go ahead.
And, garbage bins, how many of them are we gonna have? Cause it looks awfully, a lot of garbage is gonna be there. It look, I mean, a lot of garbage is gonna be there. To that point, a lot of bathrooms is gonna be needed to go. So I'm just curious, like, what would that mean, look like? I mean,
Yeah, we definitely have trash bins on here. I can't give you a count of how many that is. I don't know if the count will mean anything because this is a mile-long project anyway,
no,
so.
I got it.
But, so
I just wanted to be on the,
we
like,
usually wanna place them, and gosh, I'm trying to remember the number, every 100 or 200 feet.
There is a sort of a metric, I don't know off the top of my head,
Yeah, but we'll double
yeah.
check that too to make sure we're providing sufficient trash.
So, just a point with that, I think it's also important that parks know that they have to empty these frequently, and not just once a day. So, part of providing something, appropriate services to support that.
Yeah.
and
That's
then
not on y'all, that's.
I had my last question is, if anything is, broken down, for any of the things that's out there, what is the process of it getting fixed, and like, what is the timeline? I mean, I got it, I know you don't know, but like, what's the?
I can, let me just sort of like,
It's a good question.
So we usually for something like this, we have what we call backstop. So, we would buy a couple of extra umbrellas, right? So if something happened to an umbrella, we would have not 100 in the garage, but a few. If it was graffiti, we go repair that. If it was dented, then, we have blacksmiths, they can do certain things. If it was a whole new umbrella, not sure what would cause that need, but, that level. Looking at the shade structure itself, we've had a lot of conversations about, what would be the optimal condition, waviness, how much bird poop could collect on top, how much rain. I mean, there's been, how many meetings you guys, like 100 about all this. So, some of those things. And again, I think, once it opens, there's gonna be that period of time of sort of our M&O teams kind of figuring out like how to manage it, how often they need to be handling the garbage the first couple summers, figuring it out. But a lot of the features here, we use the park's kind of standard spec items, the benches that you've seen in other locations, garbage cans, the poles, all those things that are in our pavers that are in our kind of repertoire of stuff we know how to fix and take care of. There are some special things here. The gliders are special. There's a couple of them that are installed further south. If you go to Pier 35, it's by Rutgers Slip, it's just south of Montgomery Street, so all the way downtown, but on the east side. There's a couple of them installed there that have had a couple of years track record, so we're, learning how to manage them. I think you're right, the stuff that's brand new, custom, unusual, that's the stuff that we have to kind of learn how to work with. But what's so great, I think, about this team is that they've been able to take Parks's kind of standard stuff, but add it into this like really beautiful, sort of holistic design that is a mile long, but really kind of captures like classic parks, but with like some nice updates. So
I would add the parks conversations are, the parks meetings, they're with parks, the actual folks that are doing the maintenance, like listening to them and understanding what it means to them to maintain it and how to do that. So it's with the guys and women that are in the field. It's also with the engineers, and the folks that also design other things for parks to make sure that we're paying attention to how they would then recommend something be fixed down the line. So the parks review is not solely about the design and what it looks like and just like using the plain material. It's deep, very in-depth conversations with the folks at parks that are doing that work.
And I would even add, some of these bump outs that are these really beautiful kind of over the water where you'll be able to look north and look south. Those are also gonna be where the maintenance vehicles can turn around. They can do like a K-turn in those spaces. So we're really packing in a lot of utility and the, park amenities all in the same tight footprint. So we have a big discussion about what size of vehicles need to prune all those trees that we're putting in. So there's a lot of that, as Catherine said, a lot of kind of us, kind of jockeying and figuring out how to make it all work, just like we're all squished in a small room right now, but we can work, so.
Is that your last question?
Yeah.
Michelle?
I was just curious with the narrowest point that goes for, I'm not exactly how far. Are you going to use a specific type of stepping stone in that area, since there's no place for greenery to have a good drainage? Cause I mean, that just seems like a great place for.
Permeable pavement or something like that.
Yes, it just seems like a great place for water buildup.
Well, so in that specific area, because it's so narrow, the drainage is actually sheet flowing off because it's just a small area that just sheet flows back into the water. So it's gonna provide positive drainage to sheet flow. I mean, we do have special pavers there, for that area. I'm trying to remember what your other question was with that.
It's a standard hex paver.
Yeah.
That would be, it's kind of an asphalt hex paver that goes the duration of the Esplanade, which I believe is what's further south too. We try to make it feel like it's part of the same experience as you go up the river, which is why we use that paver. And then the overlooks and the pier have a unique custom concrete paver, which is multicolored, it's a little longer, and that's more of a kind of unique feature to the site.
Okay, so I did notice the longer pavers for. and
They're
then
like
the
an
smaller
aggregate.
one in a smaller space, so I just was just like, it just seemed disconnected. And it's disconnected with the space, the narrowness of the space, as well as not much attention given to it as the other spaces. And so I was just wondering what happened.
Well, it's really a challenging space because it's only 10 feet wide. So like, what can you really do there? I mean.
The only thing that could be done would be a nuance on the pavement.
Yeah, absolutely, we can do that. The other thing we didn't mention is we actually have street ID pavers that are in set that will have the street names on them as well, which go in that area too.
So that would be.
Yes, yeah.
Great,
Thank you.
thank you. Are there any final questions from the board before I ask my questions and move to the public?
You should ask your questions first. I ain't gonna lie, you should ask your questions first.
Well, y'all, I asked some of my questions, so that was helpful. I know. Well, I've learned that now over the years.
You
so-
should.
Yeah, it's the best practice. Just one note about the artist installation.
From behind.
About the artist installation, what you mentioned about the Harlem Creek and that existing water body that was covered over is something we've been talking about a lot on this committee, and as we've been thinking about resilience in the neighborhood, and I think hopefully your art installation can bring awareness to the resiliency, you know, challenges that we have in East Harlem.
That water keeps rising, we got.
Keeps rising.
It's coming
Yeah.
through, right?
Because, you know, just for everyone's awareness on this call, I think, we've been talking a lot about how we're obviously raising this esplanade to combat sea level rise, but there's also an interior drainage problem. And, I know, I see Tara on the call, from DEP, but they're, exploring grant opportunities to see, how we can fund projects that, you know, bring these things to life. So, please, you know, preach that with your art installation. And then, this is kind of a random question, but now that the Esplanade is gonna be elevated slightly above the FDR, has there ever been any instance where people have tried to cross over the barrier into the FDR, and how high is that fence?
So the FDR barrier will be, from the FDR side, it'll be a 42-inch height barrier. And then it is a 4-foot height fence that goes on top of the barrier. So, it's, you know, it's tall. I mean, if somebody wants to climb it, I guess they can, you know, if there's a will, there's a way. But there's, but from when you're on Esplanade side, it's a 4-foot high fence, so it's protecting people that are on Esplanade from, you know, falling over onto the highway.
7.5 feet.
Yeah.
But when you're on the barrier,
On your,
it's
when
only,
you're on the Esplanade side, it's only 4 feet because you're,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
yeah, okay, great.
the barrier is actually, you know, lower, yeah. You don't even see the barrier from the Esplanade side, it's just the fence.
Okay, great. I will hold my last question and move to the public. I see, we have, board member Jessica Morris, and then, we'll move to, I'll just start calling out members of the public and, be ready to unmute yourselves. Jessica?
Thank you. Wow. Just to follow up on the conversation relative to height differentials, you can hear me, correct?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. And this is really exciting and a really energetic meeting so far. So congratulations, Jess, and everybody in the room. My question is, have there been studies relative to what the relationship between exhaust producing vehicles and recreating people relative to air quality with that elevation change? I imagine the particular particulate that is difficult to on the human body may rise to a level right where people are exercising. Is that something? Are there ways to improve the air quality relative to that relationship built into the hard or soft infrastructure? To the questions about air quality relative to the elevation change and the relationship to the exhaust producing vehicles. Thank you.
Great question.
You want to take this one?
It's kind of technical, so if there's not an answer and somebody can do some research and kind of get back to us, that would also be very helpful.
I'd say the project has not done that particular research, one. Two, yes, there probably are research components. I've definitely read ones about biking and vehicles and especially in New York City. The third bit I'll just add too is like we're trying to increase the number of trees that are on this esplanade, both for shade, but also for comfort and the softness of trees. So I would say the trees and plantings will kind of temper a lot of that. And then Sarah, what did you want to add?
I was just gonna say the part about the plants and shrubs, there's been a lot of emphasis on trying to have them along that fence line to just be a buffer, both to soak up or deflect some of that, but also just to put you a little further away from the cars in the first place, so. But we haven't done this specific research about it, we can look into it.
Thank you. That would be great. Thank you so much for your question, Jessica. I will move along. I think I saw Mary Nell's hand up first, and then we'll go to Jennifer Ratner, and then we'll move on to other public members. Mary Nell, you're on mute. If you can unmute yourself. Oops.
Oh, Mary's still talking, but muted.
Mary,
you're
can you
still
unmute
muted.
yourself?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. To talk about air quality, first of all, it fits right in. Air quality on the rivers is pretty amazing. People comment when they row how different the air quality is and how much better it is. So that's a good preface to some of the things that we've been grappling with at East River Crew. The other thing is a lot of us in this room have traveled quite a bit, and when you travel, you do see that waterfronts are very alive and activated with people, that people do have access, not on a diving board that you can't dive off of, but in small boats. The founder of East River Crew, Mike Davis, was in the Bosporus in overseas and saw all these boats. And when we were in Hong Kong, the same thing. There's a lot of boats. In our own small city, well, New York City, Manhattan, this East River area is the only shoreline that doesn't have any kind of access for boaters on the Manhattan shoreline. If you go to Lower Manhattan, there is a boathouse. When you go uptown, there's a boathouse, some on the Harlem, but this whole, and how many is it, 20 blocks to a mile? And how many miles is this esplanade that's being done? I don't know, do the math, but no access anywhere. And that is, it's not right. It's not normal. And East River Crew is, has been doing it successfully for a number of years, since 1999, without accident. And at this point, I'm not even so much arguing for East River Crew and East 96th Street, but arguing for access to the water on the East River Manhattan waterfront. You need that. You need it for the air quality. You need it for the quality of life. I can't tell you how many, but I know that it's more than 15 or 20 people have come up to me after rowing and said that their experience of getting on a boat and going out onto the East River was actually a highlight of their experience in New York City.
Mary Nell, I don't mean to interrupt you, but do you have a
Yeah,
question for
you
the
get
presenters?
Okay, so the question is, what can we do with what we have here to fix that? Because, there's even something called code that's people have a right to access the water. So how is,
Thank you, Mary.
you get it? So
Yes.
what's the answer?
Yep, I'll pass it back to our friends here to answer your question. Thank you, Mary Nell, for your comments and your question.
Okay, you're welcome.
Isn't it, you all are working with Randall's Island Park Alliance?
Yeah, so we definitely, we've talked with Mary Nell, we've, talked a lot about voting last summer. We're trying to find the location. We're working with our friends at Randall's Island about looking for finding a spot that would be, it's a really safe, there's an existing boat access facility there. That's for all type of users, and to make that accessible for East River crew to operate off of that facility. The East River is dangerous. Parks needs to provide facilities for everybody to use. They need to be wide open to all users. And so we recognize that there's been a safe track record there, but in order to get the project permitted, we have to provide something that's safe for everybody. And so it's the situation that we're in with that. We have been in, Randall's Island has been a great partner in working on how to facilitate the shift over there. So that's the way we're looking at it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mary Nell. And I'm going to move along to Jennifer Ratner. And then I saw that, I'll go on to the next person after this. Go ahead, Jennifer, sorry.
So thanks so much. The first thing I just want to say is, wow, like all caps and like all those W's that the younger people use, because it's really a wow. Everything from, the beautiful overlooks to the fitness equipment, the musical interactive, the really superbly creative design of that pier to make it into something new and really cool, the shade, the evolution of Jerome's artwork, which looks like it's even going to continue to evolve. Like, it's just like a huge wow. And on behalf of everyone from our organization who advocates on behalf of the community, for like well over a decade, we can't believe that not only that this is going to happen soon, and maybe when some of us are still alive, but that it's going to happen in such a fantastic way. So really, like, give yourselves a round of applause. That said, I never don't have some other comments. So the comments I have are things we're already getting asked when we sent out this e-blast about this, which is that when you do the construction, please keep in mind, and do you have plans to keep in mind, keeping pathways open during the construction, because we do have thousands and thousands of users of the waterfront who fish, who bike, who walk, who run, who want to be able to use this while it's being constructed. So that's the first question. The other one is, while I commend you for putting in the grants for the comfort stations or the bathrooms, also the need for potable water so that we can have concessions there. You have all these picnic tables, but the access still is tricky. So for people to carry food and water is something extremely tricky. And I'm looking at Ricardo because nobody really mentioned what I know are going to be his amazing plantings. But we maintain a pollinator garden that's been recognized on the National Pollinator Trail and published in conjunction with somebody who aids us there. And we have a huge trouble with watering, even things that are salt and water, salt sensitive and don't need that much water. So that's another one. Another one question is about safety and security cameras, making sure that it's adequately on 911. I know you're gonna have street markers, but that's been an issue actually, that 911 doesn't know how to even find the Esplanade. So that's been a huge, huge problem that I know doesn't fall into your purview, but should be addressed. And then in terms of the water access, I was gonna say, I'm one of those people that says that a ride on Mary Nell's boat was one of the best experiences in my almost 60 years of living in New York. But maybe even getting one of those pools to come up somewhere, you know, making sure that there's some big to do for one of those floating pools to come up to this area. There's historic, there was an actual pool actually along the Esplanade in the early 1900s. And so there's historic precedent for that. So that's a whole list of things, but
Thank you, Jennifer. And just a reminder to all of our questions, and please, you know, keep your questions and comments brief as possible. I'm trying to give space for our great community partners. So, hopefully we can answer some of these questions.
So I'll take the first couple on construction and then the potable water, if you'll take plants and watering. But the first one on construction, the Esplanade, we can't build it and also have it open to the public. While we build it, it will be closed. That is that. We will build it as expeditiously and efficiently and quickly as possible, but we cannot demolish the thing that you're standing on and also let you stand on it. We will work with DOT about detours and access to the places that are open, absolutely. But we have to build the thing without people on it. And then I won't discuss the bathrooms because we did, but in regards to potable water on site, there will be drinking fountains. We flipped through those slides, but there are drinking fountains identified in various places, as well as hose bibs, water hookups for watering plants or hosing things down. And the hosing things down in the watering plants is done by parks, of course. But the water fountains will also have the double height fillers for the water bottle fillers. And then Gentry was gonna talk about the plant selection, as well.
What was the question about the plants again?
It was the types of plants and like the pollinators, native things, and then I answered a bit about watering them.
Okay, I mean,
Salt tolerant.
yes, we are making sure we are, you know, selecting species that are the most tolerant of the tolerant for drought and salt and wind. We have Fido on our team, which is, they're amazing horticulturalists and they know how to specify plants that are going to be in this kind of condition, and in a way that they know that the Parks Department can also maintain it. So they're very good and they make beautiful designs, very beautiful, while making them, you know, easily maintainable.
And I would add the presentation we have includes the plant list in the back of the deck. So when it's posted, Jennifer, please share it with your, I can't think of your Green Thumb group. Please share it.
Friends of the East River Esplanade.
Yeah, we will, but they're the group within the Friends that does the gardening. Yeah, please share it. But the plant list is in this deck, and as well as more detail about the furniture and other kind of selected things in the project. And then site safety, the site will be lit according to code, it'll be lit, it'll be safe. And then we can install, we can add the call boxes that are routed to 911. And all those we can, yeah,
Okay.
yep. And then on those call boxes, on the phone, it tells you like how to say where you are, so that like if you do pick it up to call, it tells you which is routed directly to 911, and on other projects, we'll kind of pre-work with PD and FDNY, so they understand that, as well as the site, the markers, the street end markers that Gentry mentioned. As you go along, they'll be engraved in the pavement, and you'll kind of understand where you are in relation to the street, even though you probably recognize, you know your neighborhood and you might recognize where you are based on the buildings. It's also great to have that on the ground.
Great, thank you so much. And thank you, Jennifer, for your great questions. We'll see you out on the Esplanade. I'm gonna move to Ricardo Hinkle.
Who's on our project?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't hear you, Ricardo, if you're talking.
You might be a planning member. Yeah.
I'm not sure that you're connected to the audio, Ricardo.
Are there any more questions?
Yeah. Ricardo's.
Okay, so sorry, Ricardo. Let us know if you can resolve it. We'll go to Warren James and then Paul Tropia and then Ted Gruber. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank the teams who worked on this and the community board who has provided so much input. I had 3 comments. Number 1 is that out in the pier, this applies to the umbrellas, to the shading of the big tent, is we want shelter from the rain, shelter from the snow. This is not a shading device. This is a sheltering device. And so that's a big difference. And I want to echo what Debbie Quinones was saying. If you're caught there in a big rainstorm, you want to stay dry. And those umbrellas are too skimpy. And the roof with the openings and making it a dappled light is really not the right place to have this. We want protection from the rain, the snow, etc. The other item is that the gliders can also be outfitted with shading devices on top. I've seen the ones that are other parts of the city. They're not used when it's midday. We want these to be used year round and also in the middle of the day when it's hot. And if you provide shade on top of the gliders, that will help the situation. On the outlook, we envision having temporary sculpture installations. So we want to make sure that the weight of sculptures and access to have those sculptures brought in and out of the outlooks be considered. I can put this all in writing and send it in. And finally, from a master planning point of view, if a future pedestrian bridge is proposed to connect 107th Street Pier to the bathrooms that exist on 106th Street, is there something, and this is outside your scope of work, can you identify now where that pedestrian bridge could take off and land on the other end so that this is a separate item for future funding, future community input? And with that, I yield the rest of the time. Thank you.
Hey, Warren. Do you want to respond to the sculptures and the bridge, pedestrian bridge?
We work with parks in regards to them understanding what the capacity is of the pier and the, you know, for both their maintenance vehicles and for any kind of future installments. And so parks will have that if there's kind of future programming.
Yeah.
And then the Ped Bridge, I think we would essentially just need to look at it and the parks to make sure that we would have all on the same page as to where something that might be feasible. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, did you answer the bridge comment?
We haven't studied it specifically, no,
Okay.
so we would.
We can look, we can't
Okay.
do much more than that, but
Yeah.
we can sort of look and see what would be a
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
We appreciate the future thinking.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much, Warren, for your great foresight. We'll move on to Paul Tropia, then Ted Gruber, and then Sharon Pope Marshall.
Well,
Hello, Paul. How are you doing?
I'm actually upset about hearing the dismissal of our request for continued access to the water based on 2 facile items that were, given to us before. Number 1 is that it's dangerous. And I just like to point out that the cove around 96th Street is, if anyone's ever looked at it, it's way quieter or slower with currents than the rest of the river. And that safety is our utmost concern all our years of access to the river. And that we need to work with, obviously, weather, we need to work with tides, and we need to work with education to our members and the community. It's so just saying that it's dangerous. Well, bicycle riding is dangerous, and I heard that we were offering bicycle rides, et cetera. The other thing is that the other item that was given out is this as a dismissal was that we were offered access to Randall's Island, and we did have a meeting with a whole bunch of city officials, I think. And essentially, we were offered a rocky and muddy place that we couldn't possibly move our 400-pound boats on. These are not kayaks. They're not sailboats. They're not things that you can carry over, that muddy terrain. And they've been successfully launched with very little infrastructure right out of 96th Street. Anyone can look at it. It's still there, and it's minimal what we need. And these outcrops on 101st Street and 117th Street, like, are not no more than what we need. We just need a minimal place to reinstall our David and keep launching our boats. Okay, I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Paul. We hear you, and I was unaware that there was a lack of agreement with the location at Randall's Island. So we're happy to work with you on the community board to help liaise with Randall's Island, with parks, and to help come up with some solutions here for you all. So I'm so sorry to hear that, and please keep in touch. Mary Nell, perhaps you can reach out to me and we can touch base. We'll move to Ted Gruber.
Hello, I found the unmute button. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I rode with East River Crew. I chair the Long Island City Community Boathouse. We run kayaks by the Pepsi sign. We've run trips up and down the river through Hellgate. We've done it at night with well-lit boats. We've gone all the way around Manhattan numerous times. I want to second everything that Mary Nell and Paul just said. There's a lot of human-powered boating going on the west side. There's a lot of it going on in Brooklyn and Queens, and there is almost nothing on the Harlem River or the east side of Manhattan. Paul mentioned, I want to repeat, bicycling is dangerous. Guess what? Crossing the street is dangerous, but we're allowed to do it. We don't need special permission. One of the safety concerns, when I'm out on the river, paddling up the Harlem River, trying to get to the Hudson, there's like a pilot flying a plane. You're always thinking, if I have to get out now, where do I get out? If lightning breaks out, weather kicks up, somebody in my party has a medical issue, bee sting, anaphylactic response, chest pain, where do I get out? There's mostly seawall. We're in a pen. We need more places to get in and to get out. And yes, the spot on Randall that they're talking about is inhospitable. We don't like to drag our 50-pound kayaks over that rocky, muddy, icky spot. No infrastructure whatsoever. The 96th Street spot was excellent. Very small footprint. The boats are on the other side of the highway. Roll them over on a cart, pick them up with a crane, lower them into the water, climb down with the ladder. That's all we're asking for, is a continuation of what we've already had. Lastly, you may not be aware, the rivers are cleaner than they've been in over 100 years, thanks to our Clean Water Act and our wastewater plants. People are swimming legally. There are swim events, countless. There are at least 3 organizers that I know about. Coney Island Swimmers, 2 other groups that are not on the tip of my tongue. People swim around Manhattan in 7 or 8 hours, escorted by motorboats and kayaks.
What's that?
Wow.
So these are uses that can only be done in the water. Where are we supposed to go if we can't use the Harlem River and 96th Street?
Thank you so much, Ted. Ricardo, you're somehow unmuted now, so we're hearing some background. So thank you, Ted, for your comments, and I'll go to Ricardo since now we can hear you.
At least I can be heard. First, I wanted to thank Jennifer for her very kind, very generous words about the design. I think it made the entire design team made us feel very good and gave us a little bit of a chill, because those were very nice words, and we're very glad that that's the response. I wanted to clarify a few issues. One with regard to the light poles, you know, the park's light poles are actually DOT light poles, and we have to follow DOT street lighting placement standards. And the closest we can put these light poles is generally 50 feet. It's about 50 to 70 or 80. So it might not be the highest light intensity for some people who would rather have it lighter, but that's what we're limited to by DOT street lighting. In addition, the shade structure on the pier, I think there's an opportunity because we need the shade structure to the roof to drain. And I think the drainage and the perforations could mostly occur at the low points. You know, you have the high points of the arches and the low points of the arches. The high points of the arches needn't have that many perforations for drainage purposes. And maybe those would be the dry areas underneath the high arches. And then the low areas underneath the wet arches where we need those roofs to drain would be where the water concentrates and trickles down. So there would be maybe areas that would be dry, in between areas that might be a little wetter during rain. And then I just wanted to mention too that the plantings, the plant survivability will also be enhanced tremendously by the fact that the soil volume that's under the plantings also goes under the pavements between the plantings. So, and then we're using this structural soil or a Silva-cell technology that keeps the soil from becoming too compacted, which means that the plantings in the flanking planters will also be able to the roots will be able to use those soils under the pavements and also the water and the oxygen. So enhancing their survivability. And one more thing about plant survivability, we are looking into, and we're hopeful to have drip irrigation in all of the plant beds. So, you know, they usually don't last more than a few years, but that often is enough to get them a good running head start and really help them survive over the long run. So I just wanted to mention those things. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ricardo. And we have one last question from Sharon Pope Marshall.
Yeah, I also wanted to echo the really very beautifully designed presentation. Just visually engaging and on a very practical level. You can sign me up for one of those gliders.
Thank you.
What I'm thinking is that the people of El Barrio East Harlem, they truly deserve this.
Yes.
And have been the ones that have really experienced you know, a level of I'm not sure a lack of service and attention to this community overall. And I can't imagine what the community board members who are sitting around the table are thinking that this is about to happen. This is about to come true. And it really is because of you guys, because you just kept the pressure on. Having said that, you know, we have the trifecta, DEP, EDC, parks, and you made it happen. So now you're going to be a victim of your own success. So here's my question, because I feel like this is done. This is it. I'm ready to move on to the next level. And I am wondering what's happening between 107th and 117th Street, for example, because listen, you're going to be a victim of your own success. I'm sorry to be redundant with that, but that's where we are today, this evening, because more needs to be done. This is going to be done. Now it's time to look at the next steps. And so if you could really talk about what's happening between 107 and 117, that'd be really great. And lastly, I want to say, every presentation ought to be ended with an artist. I want to emphasize in particular with this discussion about the water. And first of all, it's really kind of interesting to witness, to meet an artist and you say, oh, wow, I passed his work. However, when you were talking about the water and the emphasis of the word, and I'm sure you gave this some consideration, I was thinking about the transatlantic slave trade. I was thinking about the Irish potato famine when people were coming over. I was thinking about, the pilgrims. Everything is about the water. And I thought your sculpture was just really, really fantastic. And it'll appeal to, a diverse group of people. And it's just absolutely wonderful. So 107.
Thank you,
and
Sharon.
117.
Yeah, I think we need to start and dive in. Really quickly, between 114 and 117, that's currently referred to as East River Esplanade Phase 2, and that is entering construction very soon this year. So really the gap is 107 to 114, so it's small, but it is still a gap. Sarah can elaborate more on our request for funding.
Yeah, and we have an active funding request for that, and the idea is if the funding comes through from OMB, then we would be able to just sort of add that to the project and keep going. You're exactly right. I think there's gonna be a lot more pressure on this thoroughfare once all these projects get going, so. We're actively pursuing funds for that middle chunk, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
and also Civic Class would be happy to support your efforts in that and
You all heard her.
provide.
Thank you, yeah.
Provide a letter of support.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just thank you so much for all the work that you have done here, and also the people who live here in El Barrio, East Harlem.
Thank you, Sharon. Yeah, I mean, just to say, like, if we're elevating the waterfront, simply having a gap will not work. So there needs to be funding to allow it to be completed in totality. But do you need anything from the community board for that funding at the start? Another letter of support or anything that?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I think, we are aware of the city budget crisis right now. It's pretty real. And so, the letters of support would be very warmly welcomed. I think OMB is in a tight spot as well. And so they might accept the letter and put it on the shelf until they're able to focus on it more. So, it's just sort of the reality that we're all in right now. But a letter would be welcome for sure.
Great.
Yeah.
Really quick. We're so over time.
I've noticed, doing in that gap right now, as I'm going up, I see runners that are coming from way down south of Manhattan. They're not stopping where that fence is. They climb over it and continue running now.
Okay.
So it's dangerous.
All right, we're gonna move us along. Thank you all so much for your time. Thank you for being here. Great job, great work, and thank you for the collaboration. I know we are way over on time and I'm not intending to keep anyone here forever. Just really quick, the next item of business is a revisit to our presentation from last month with Civitas. So we have to take a motion we have to, Ricardo, could you please mute? Do we have any motion for?
Motion on the board.
All right. We have thank you so much. We have a motion to support the, yes. Yeah, we'll wait for them to leave us a little fast. Thank you all. Get home safe.
Debbie, take it outside so we can go.
Yeah, we're gonna keep the meeting moving along, so please exit as quickly as possible and take your conversations outside. Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ricardo. All right, so I heard a motion for a letter of support for the East Harlem waterfront of the East River Esplanade concept proposals for waterfront revitalization expansion from Civitas.
Second.
Seconded by Asher Rodriguez. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Do we want to quickly take a vote on a letter of support for the gap between 107th and 114th Street? Motion, or Michelle?
Motion to support, decreasing that gap.
Okay,
No,
the
no,
funding,
no, no, no,
funding,
To
motion,
renovate the funding for that gap.
motion
No,
to,
no, no.
What is it, what you're doing?
Okay.
we're pondering a letter of support for what we just heard, which
Right.
was asked to support the funding
Between
ask
107
from
and
107 to
114.
114.
And then what's the second?
The one we
Oh,
already voted on.
We
Okay,
already
cool.
voted on that one.
Yeah.
This
All right.
is just what's on the table.
So can I reiterate your motion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Motion to support the Department of Parks and Recreation's funding
Funding
proposal requests.
For between 104th and 114th.
107th and 114th Street.
You're killing me.
Okay, seconded by Rosa Diaz. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, so we wanted to take 5 minutes just to talk about the community gardens tours over the summer. Malik?
I mean, let's be short and brief. I basically, Kelly, did you email everybody? Yes, he did. He emailed everyone, just the tours that we're gonna do this summer, for the community gardens. They basically have everything lined up. It's about almost 40 gardens, community gardens. If we don't see anything that we know that there's something there, maybe we can put it in. I mean, it's not, the first one is in June, so we have another meeting to go to and possibly a June meeting, because when is this one? June 1st?
Tiffany and Company? What?
Oh, yeah,
Wait,
so,
Just keep it going.
the same thing that we did last year. We're just gonna do it this year with the community gardens instead of parks.
Oh, okay. Okay, I
I've seen
remember,
a-
I remember. Gotcha.
I've seen a lot of gardens per day. How much time are we spending? at
Yeah,
each?
that's a lot.
So those gardens are literally like right next to each other.
Oh.
So if we don't go to it, we can make it up on another day. But the reason why I'm like, only this day is a lot, because they're literally like right next door. So like, that's how if I can change it,
You grouped them.
but it's, yeah.
They cluster, right?
Yeah, like if I change it, we're just gonna be in the same area the next day, pretty much. Yes.
I like how you did it last year. I thought it was really well done, that everything was so close together. It was really well thought out.
Mhm.
The only difference that I would like to propose, and it not be at 10, it just be a little bit later.
Yeah, cause.
10 a.m. is hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is the date of the week?
Saturday.
Oh, yeah, Friday night, no, yeah. 11.
All right, well, come on.
I
come on,
mean,
y'all.
we can work on anything next month. I
No, it's
knew
great.
today was, it was just so that everybody could have an idea. and be
No,
on
it's a
their
good
mind.
job.
Well
It's a
done.
good
Very
job.
well
You thought
done.
through,
And I
yeah.
pretty much did the same thing. I even updated
I love it.
some, and sent it over to Angel where the new gardens that's, or some that's not there, or the new naming, et cetera. So I kind of like updated so that they can have it and attach it to CB11's website. So,
Oh, cool.
I guess we'll talk about it next week. I know that this really was a long meeting, so I just wanted y'all to be aware of like what's to come.
Thank you, Malik.
Good
You're
job.
great. Thank you so much.
Good job.
And if we need to set up a call to talk about this separately, we certainly can.
After Earth Day.
After
Oh
Earth
my
Day.
God.
Thank God. Speaking of Earth Day, I just wanted, the what?
Do we have to? vote
Oh,
on
yes,
the
thank
funds
you so
yet?
much for the reminder.
Very much.
We're moving to talk about the Earth Day conference. One of the first things we need to do is discuss the committee funds to be moved towards this event. So do I hear a motion? Malik,
A motion to, a motion for our city funds?
To apply our.
Committee funds be funded to Earth Day conference.
great. Do I have a second? Rosa, okay, great. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. All right, so just really quick on the Earth Day conference, I'm gonna share my screen if that's
Yeah.
okay. Thank you, Cleta. I'm so sorry for keeping you so late. I will buy you a beverage.
It's not okay.
Stop sharing your screen.
Yeah, where is my stop sharing? I'm running out.
All right, so just really quick on Earth Day, we had a great meeting, with the Museum of the City of New York on Tuesday. We did a little, you know, run of show sort of consideration, so we determined that we have basically the same setup as last year, except that we'll have sort of a podium, you know, element on the, if you're looking at the museum on the right-hand side, so the, south side. Yeah, and so I think we're working through some small discussions about AV, and one of the big things that we're doing right now is working to finalize the agenda now that we thankfully, thanks to our great team here, have confirmed the schools that will be attending, what time the schools need this event to run, and agreed with that with the museum. So the runtime of the museum is not TBD. It is now 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
But they gave us the hour before.
But we,
and the
yes,
hour after.
exactly. So we will have an hour before to, you know,
Set
set
up.
up and an hour afterwards
Nice
to break down.
Okay.
So thank you to this group on the screen for meeting regularly to help make this happen. Rosa and I are working on the coordination of speakers and programs. I think we can manage, but if anyone wants to help out, I'm ready to add names at any time. Thank you to David, Asher, and Rosa for coordinating with the schools. Is anyone going to be able to attend the event?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the day off.
I'm taking the day off.
Taking the day off.
All right, I'm writing it down.
I am taking the day, off. yeah.
That's why.
Whatever you need, in terms of like the speaker or whatever, let me know.
I'm able to.
We need food coordinators.
I will be.
Food coordinators.
Okay.
Michelle will be the food guard.
Okay.
David, you'll be there.
I will,
Yeah.
keeping it down.
Wait, don't say maybe when I'm going.
And then Malik, are you gonna be able to be there?
I'm gonna do my best.
Okay.
You can
Russell
add
will be
me
there?
and then cross me out if it has to
I'll
be.
take the day off.
Thank you. I also took the day off. Okay, thank you,
I'm the
Joel.
only one that's coming from the Bronx.
Oh, and then, in terms,
I'm overseeing the restoration of the mural in White Park.
no worries.
I will be tied up for weeks.
No worries. All right, on the task side, we're, like I said, finalizing the run of show. I think Asher, we decided, will be the MC. You're good, you're not good with that anymore?
I didn't said that.
Okay, who wants to be the
I
MC?
thought that was.
Yeah.
Wait, I am.
too.
I
second.
Yeah, I thought,
Oh,
okay.
I thought I was just like doing like a little introduction. I didn't realize I was like.
Right, cause I said I would.
You have to speak, but can you just introduce each group that's coming up and we'll work with Rosa?
That is MC, that is the whole thing is MC.
You don't have to.
Okay, I'll do it.
Think about it, think about it.
All right.
It's a little much.
You got to it, chair, you can't.
No, you got.
Well, you have to make a statement.
I did it when I was vice chair.
pressuring.
Okay, and then we have John Green who volunteered to be timekeeper. We have,
Yeah. Okay.
we confirmed the pizza, we just need to confirm the order. So we just are gonna finalize that now that we have an expectation of how many people are gonna be there. Oversight of lunch was Michelle Walter, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
I will hold your after.
Okay.
And that now it's now.
Okay.
Happy.
All right.
Look at the smile. Okay.
What about the food?
Yeah, how are you gonna do the food?
You have to.
No, I will do this.
Don't we have to put on the same side as the microphone?
Yeah, you're right.
Who's gonna be doing it?
All right, sorry, we're gonna keep it moving. So here's our, we need, you know, Rosa, I think you had volunteered for printing if that's still the case, but tell me if I'm wrong.
Whatever you want me to be.
Okay, I appreciate you, you're an all-star. For printing, I think it would be great to have some flyers while we're there, and oops, I can't make that all red. Just to, you know, have information about this community board stuff, et cetera. So far we have confirmed Green and Blue Eco Care. They want to do both a booth and an activity. Department of Parks and Recreation also wants to do a booth and an activity. Columbia Center for Smart Streetscapes, that's the program I've been working on through the community board. They just want to do a booth to share information about their school programs. Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice, they do want to be there. I think we're confirming whether they want a booth or and or an activity. Children's Aid is going to have a booth and an activity, correct?
Wait, what?
Or do you just want an activity?
I thought it was just like a blue fountain.
So they were gonna present from the
Yeah, they're
booth, as opposed to get up and present, but we'll work on
Okay, all right. And then We Act wants a booth and an activity. Randall's Island has a booth and an activity. Community Board 11, we'll have to figure out who's manning our community board table, but we're gonna have a booth. And then EDC is coming. I know, we'll have to convince Angel. We have,
He's enjoyed it the last few times.
we have the schools that are coming. We just need to figure out.
It's 4 district schools.
Okay.
4 district, 4 schools, 1 district, 5 schools.
And from children from 172, it's 3.
Wait, that's 125 kids then.
No, they-
We're good, right? Yeah, okay. And then we'll just discuss what they're presenting and how that lays into the program.
Yeah.
Xavier is working on elected officials. So far, I hear that the Manhattan Borough President's Office is gonna be there.
11 and,
well,
11:30.
Yeah, we're gonna confirm that with the overall programming.
What about Ayala?
Civitas, are you gonna be there? I don't know about that. Okay,
Yes,
okay, if you could, let me know, hopefully by the end of this week.
yes, I hope to have a volunteer with me.
Okay. Okay, and then, Department of Environmental Protection, I haven't heard, maybe in my email, Department of Sanitation will not come, big surprise.
Didn't they come last year? No.
No.
Okay.
Department, do you say Department of Sanitation?
Is not coming.
So. They don't even come here.
Central Park Conservancy, I haven't yet heard, unless it's in my email, I haven't read it. Community Gardens, Michelle, have you, or Asher, have you heard anything from Green Thumb or any community gardens?
Nothing from Green Thumb, from Pleasant Village, yes, Kim said she'll be there, I have to confirm with her if she wants to, she said she wanted to move fountain, she's like doing the activity.
Okay,
What about flowers? You bring flowers.
okay, and then, Arts in the Park, Michelle, have you heard anything back from them?
No, it needs to be, oh, I can call.
Can you follow up?
Yes.
What about New Yorkers for Parks?
New Yorkers from, sure.
Wait, Arts in the Parks is.
Oh,
Shanique.
Rosa?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
sorry.
me. Oh, wait a minute, Arts in the Parks? Yeah, that's Shanique. I reach out again.
Okay.
Everyone is in the email, but I haven't heard anything back.
Okay, and then East Harlem Preservation?
Yeah, that's Marina.
Okay.
I'll see her Saturday.
Okay, great.
I heard from T Arts and Culture, remember?
Yes.
Emily and Ting.
Yes. They can come?
Yes.
Okay,
T, and I told them about the electricity.
Okay.
It has to be electricity.
And they just want an activity, not a booth.
They want a table so
Okay.
they can put the tea on and have people, adult,
Okay.
taste it.
Okay, great. Any other updates from any groups that isn't on this list? Okay, I'm moving along. Thank you, everyone, for your work, and I will see you at the Earth Day conference. Just really quick, the last things on the agenda. The Independent Budget Office, we're gonna have them and George Janes, our land use consultant, here at our meeting next month to present on the report that I talked about at full board, which was, we had requested that the Independent Budget Office review the spending of the city on sanitation garages specifically in East Harlem compared to other districts. And I don't wanna, get into the report because I'm not well versed in how to explain that to you all, but look forward to that. We've shared the report that they've provided to us. If y'all could take a look before next meeting. I know.
Also, this was me.
I don't know if they confirmed next month. We asked if they'd be available in May or June.
Okay. Oh, okay, we'll confirm that. And then, one quick thing, the Randall's Island Multi-Use Shoreline is asking for a project advisory committee representative from the community board.
No, that time.
So it's about all the shoreline projects that they're doing on Randall's Island to have representation from the community board. If anyone's interested, reach out to me, otherwise I will appoint.
Oh.
Chair power.
Alright. If there's nothing else, is there any old business, any new business with that?
Sort of kind of old
with that?
We had said yes to something
Yes.
last month, excuse me.
I agreed
to attend, she agreed to.
Yes, I've had on and off, we usually have a call every week with Xavier and Angel, and we've not, it's been partially my fault and partially everyone's fault that we've not been able to connect, but that's on my list to talk to them about. We have a number of appointments to be making.
When does that start?
I don't know for sure, but, we'll reach out to you all separately on that. Thank you for your volunteering. Anything else?
I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
For your, for the support, for the letter. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, with that, this meeting is adjourned at 9:09. Thank you very much, everybody.
Roll call.
Everybody's still here?
Do we want to do roll call? All right.
Rosa Diaz,
We good.
Rosa Diaz,
Yeah, present.
Jessica Elliott,
Present.
David Giordano.
Present.
Jewel Jones.
Present.
Connie Lee.
Present.
Malik McCullough.
Present.
Debbie Quinones.
Present.
Asher Rodriguez. Russell Schuler.
Here.
Michelle Wilshire Clement.
Present.
oh my God, perfect attendance. Thank you, everybody. Great job. It's amazing, right? The project, it's gonna be really. Make sure that we have